Hey everyone, and welcome. You know that sinking feeling you get right before a big software release? That little voice in your head wondering what might break this time? Well, if you've ever felt that, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving into CI/CD, the automated assembly line that has totally transformed how modern teams build and ship their code.
So before we jump into the solution, let's just take a second and remember the problem. I mean, not that long ago, releasing software was this huge, high-stakes manual event, right? It was pure chaos sometimes. It meant coordinating a bunch of different teams, manually running tests, and just a whole lot of crossed fingers hoping nothing would blow up during deployment. It was stressful, it was incredibly risky, and man, was it slow.
And who hasn't heard this one? Or, let's be honest, who hasn't said this one? This is the sound of a bug that somehow slipped through all the cracks. It perfectly sums up the chaos that you get from having inconsistent environments and manual processes. You know the drill. A developer's code works perfectly for them, but the second it gets merged with everyone else's work, kaboom! It breaks spectacularly. It's a frustration we've all felt.
So, that kind of begs the question, right? How do the best teams out there avoid all this drama? How are they able to release new features and bug fixes multiple times a day with total confidence, while other teams are struggling just to get one release out the door every month? Well, the answer isn't some kind of magic, it's a disciplined, automated process.
And that process is what we call CI/CD. The best way to think about it is as your ultimate automated teammate. You know, the one that's super meticulous, incredibly fast, and literally never sleeps. CI/CD stands for Continuous Integration and Continuous Delivery or Deployment. So let's break down exactly what those two parts really mean.
Okay, first up is CI, or continuous integration. The main idea here is actually pretty simple. Instead of waiting for weeks to merge these huge, scary chunks of code all at once, developers merge their changes into a shared repository all the time, often several times a day. And here's the really crucial part. Every single time they do that, an automated process kicks off. It builds the application and runs all the tests. And the goal? It's all about catching bugs and integration issues right away, when they're still small and super easy to fix.
And CD is just the logical next step in the process. I mean, after CI confirms that your code is healthy, that it plays nicely with everything else, what do you do with it? You deliver it. Continuous delivery or deployment automates the entire process of getting that validated code out of the repository and ready for your users. It bridges that massive gap between done and deployed.
Now there's a really interesting point on this slide. It's the subtle but super important difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment. With continuous delivery, everything is ready to go to production after passing all the tests, but it waits for a human to push the final go button. This gives the team total control over the exact timing. On the other hand, with continuous deployment, it's 100% automatic. If the code passes the tests, it goes straight to production, no questions asked. It's all about maximizing speed.
So you might be thinking, okay, why go through all the trouble of setting this up? Well, because the benefits are absolutely massive. Adopting CI/CD isn't just a small tweak. It's a fundamental upgrade that makes your entire development process faster, way safer, and just, well, better for everyone involved.
And the advantages here are just game-changing. Instead of waiting for some weekly build to see if your code works, you get a faster feedback loop. You know within minutes if your change broke something. This automation also reduces manual errors. Let's face it, a machine doesn't make typos. This leads to incredibly consistent and reliable deployments. And it's not just about the tech, it makes for much smoother team collaboration. But the ultimate win? All of this means you can deliver real value to your users way, way faster. This isn't just some internal improvement, it's a serious competitive advantage.
Okay, so to really understand how this all fits together, let's visualize the CI/CD pipeline. This is that assembly line for code we talked about earlier. It's basically a series of automated steps that every single code change has to pass through on its journey from a developer's laptop all the way to the end user.
This slide lays out that journey perfectly. It all starts with a commit. That's when a developer pushes their code. The pipeline immediately kicks in to build the application. Then comes the really critical test stage, where it runs tons of automated checks. If everything passes, the code is then deployed to an environment. And it doesn't even stop there. The final step is to monitor the app's health after it's live. You can think of each step as a crucial quality gate that your code has to pass.
So the main point here is that this pipeline enforces discipline and quality automatically. It transforms what can be a chaotic manual process into something that's streamlined and predictable.
It dramatically speeds up how quickly you can get your ideas out into the world, all while cutting down on all that tedious, error-prone manual work.
Okay, let's make this a bit more personal. If you're a developer, what does this actually mean for your day-to-day life? Because this isn't just about process for the sake of process. It's about giving you a new superpower.
The biggest benefit, honestly? Less stress. Releasing software should not be a crisis. When you trust your automated pipeline to catch the errors, deployments just become a non-event. They're a normal part of the day, not some dreaded all-hands-on-deck emergency.
Second, you're going to ship fewer bugs, period. The pipeline acts like this relentless, tireless quality assurance expert. By running builds and tests in a standardized environment every single time, it catches all those works on my machine issues before they ever get a chance to annoy a user. And finally, and maybe most importantly, it means you get to have more impact. By automating away all the boring, repetitive parts of the job, you get to spend more of your time on what actually matters, building great features, solving interesting problems, and delivering value to your users faster and more often.
So let's end with this question. Take a second and think about your own process. Think about the last time you released something. Was it smooth and automated? Or was it a manual, stressful scramble? Because in today's world, speed and reliability are everything. And a CI/CD pipeline is really the engine that drives both of those things. So is your current workflow holding you back?